Yesterday morning, like many of you, I woke up to alerts on my cell phone. The United States and Israel had bombed Iran, and there were counterstrikes. And our president, almost in passing, said that yes, we would lose some lives. Almost in passing. Yeah, we're going to lose lives. Like these lives were just the statistics already. Part of the currency of global power. Presented almost like a straightforward business decision. And my first thought was, tomorrow, I have to stand up and preach about loving your neighbor. And I sat with that for a while. Sad, and honestly, a little numb. And later in the day, I picked up our Lenten prayer cards, the prayer cards that we still have in the basket out there. If you haven't picked those up already, we have about 25 left. And I mistakenly read the card for today yesterday, because my mind was already on Sunday. And this is what it said. Dear God, I know that your definition of neighbor is bigger than mine. I tend to see those who look or speak like me as my neighbors. Help me to see as you do. Help me to see the children on the news a world away as my neighbors. Help me to see those I disagree with as my neighbors. Help me to see the world as you do. I couldn't get past that line that said, help me to see the children on the news a world away as my neighbors. Because in that moment, all I was thinking about was the children. The girls at an elementary school in Iran that now we know over 100 people have been killed by a bomb dropped there, teachers and students. Families in Dubai and across the Middle East. I thought about 18-year-old kids from rural America, someone's child, someone's whole world, who, as our president said, won't come home. And I thought about the web of life of our one shared home being ripped apart once again. And today, I have to stand up and preach about loving your neighbor. This is not normal. I want to say that clearly. It is not normal to live in this cycle of violence, and we can't let it become normal. We cannot become numb to it as much as we want to. And at the same time, we can't be captivated by fear. Because fear and letting fear rule us is exactly what this system of violence wants from us. Fear keeps us small. Fear keeps us looking at people who are the closest to us. Fear keeps us looking at people who look like us and sound like us, and the people that we have already decided are on our side. Yesterday, we held a creation and climate justice event here at the church, which several of you attended. And our speaker, the Reverend Jim Antel, reminded us of one of the greatest mantras of the New Testament, repeated over and over again by angels, by Jesus, by everyone who encounters the holy, and that is, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Not to dismiss the very real things that frighten us, but as a call, a commission, a reassurance, do not be afraid. We are people of courageous hope, not optimism, but hope. And there's a difference. Optimism says that everything will be fine. Hope says that even when it isn't fine, we refuse to stop acting as if love is the most powerful force in the universe. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. We are peacemakers, and in this moment, it is one of the most radical teachings of Jesus that we can live out. So what does it mean to love your neighbor today on this specific Sunday with this news thick in the air? Where is God today? Where is God today? Jesus gives us something to hold on to in Matthew 25. It's a strange and stunning and pretty clear passage. Did you see the person in front of you? I was hungry. I was thirsty. I was a stranger. I was sick. I was in prison. And the righteous ones then ask, when did we see you? When did we see you? Dorothy Day wrote that the gospel takes away our right forever to discriminate between the deserving and the undeserving poor. Every single person that our global leaders write off as collateral damage, Jesus says, that's me. You're looking at me. And this is what the system doesn't want us to believe. Because systems of power, military, economic, political, they depend on our willingness to sort people. Deserving and undeserving, us and them, neighbor and stranger. The machine requires that we see some lives as more grievable than others. And Jesus keeps saying, I don't think so. That is not what's meant to be. This year, I've been reading Valerie Kaur's book, See No Stranger, with a group of faith leaders, interfaith leaders here on the peninsula. And her central claim is this: the world is not divided into strangers and neighbors. There are only neighbors whose stories we have not yet learned. I'll say that again. There are only neighbors whose stories we have not yet learned. She talks about revolutionary love as a movement from fear to curiosity to solidarity. What is the story of that Iranian schoolgirl? What is that story of the 18-year-old military officer from a small town in the middle of the country? What has bound up their lives with ours before any of us chose it? Reverend Jim Antel said several things yesterday that stuck with me, and this is one of them. He said that we all have the same address. We all have the same address. This home, this one planet, which means that we are more than just neighbors, we are families. And all violence is family violence. What we do to the least of these, we do not just to God, we do it to our own household. Compassion is not optional generosity. It is how we care for our own. And the good news this morning, because with this series, I promise I will give you good news every week, even when it's hard. Today, the good news is not everything is okay, because it isn't. The good news is that we were never actually separate to begin with. The distance that we feel from people on the news, from people across the aisle, from people who are sleeping on our loggia at night, that distance is a lie that the world tells us. And Jesus keeps telling us the truth. You belong to one another. Every act of welcome and care is an act of coming home. We open our doors here every week to the hungry and the lonely and those who are seeking. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to someone who needs a meal or a moment of dignity or a place where someone knows their name. That's not just charity. It's seeing Jesus. And that is what this text is asking of us today. But I want to push us a step further. Because sometimes, and I say this with love because I include myself, sometimes it's easier to love the neighbor we serve than the neighbor sitting in the pew next to us. Sometimes the person across the sanctuary, the person that we've quietly been avoiding at coffee happy hour, the person that we disagree with about something that feels enormous, sometimes that is the harder neighbor to see. The prayer card this week asks God to help us see those whom we disagree with as our neighbor. And it's not a small ask. It might be the biggest ask of all. So this week, in this hard and heavy and grief-soaked week, I want to invite us to one practice. This is your homework this week. Just one thing. Look for Christ in the face that you have been avoiding. Look for Christ in the face that you've been avoiding. I didn't say it was going to be easy. See no stranger. See the divine. Our good news mantra this week is, when I love my neighbor, I love God. May it be so. Amen.